Krishna Caitanya-caritāmṛta Premamritam Bani.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all glories to the assembled devotees who attend on a regular basis our sadhana, weekly sadhana program, part of it anyway, of 3 classes a week on Wednesday night, Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Saturday and Sunday mornings on Zoom. This association is critical for us to stay fixed up in devotional service through association, sadhu sangha, guru shastra sadhu, association with devotees, is critical for making advancement. And those who have a clear understanding of this philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which is based on Guru Tattva, the principle of a bona fide spiritual master. These days, there's so much change that's gone on in the previous movement that we were a part of, unfortunately, and very disappointing for some of us to see that, because when you invest, I know that some of us here have invested many years of our life, our vital years, in spreading Krishna consciousness, and then seeing it being trashed by the current people that are operating the mission. It's unfortunate. But at the same time, we're entitled to perform our duties, Krishna says, but we're not entitled to the results. That Krishna is responsible for everything that goes on, in a sense, and that we'll leave it up to Krishna to rectify everything in due course. And most critical for us is the protection of Prabhupada's legacy in his books. These transcendental literatures give us an insight, a direct connection with the spiritual world, which is far, far away from us, in a sense, but near, very near as well. As long as it's received from the pure devotee. And Prabhupada is still present, everyone, in his Vani incarnation. He's still present with us in his teachings. This, of course, may be difficult, and Yaśodā brings this up, that people are prefer these days to accept the Vapu representation of a so-called disciplic succession, rather than the transcendental sound coming from the pure devotee, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. This is completely false. This understanding is not the proper understanding of our philosophy, and our goal with our group is to continue to preach the truth. Whether people come or go, that's their business. That's fair. But at the same time, our business is to march on with explaining the truth about Guru Tattva, the principles of disciplic succession, and how Prabhupada wanted them preserved. I know that all of you are constantly reading and listening to lectures like myself, and it's very interesting to note that Prabhupada is constantly reviewing these matters in his writings, because of course he had to deal with the Gaudiya Math after the disappearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And in so many regards, we can see that the way he was treated by his godbrothers, and we'll read about them as we move through the diaries of His Divine Grace, and how everyone was reluctant to help him from the Gaudiya Math. In the same way, we're in the same situation now as being all Prabhupada disciples, but so many different individual camps with so many different points of view and so many different so-called gurus. So this has turned into a real unfortunate situation, and we're doing as much as we can to rectify it. And we're going to go forward here today again with the reading of the Prabhupada Diary, and we're at January of the, let's see here, 1966. So here we have, I'm just going to refer again, here are the contents. The West Side, January 19th to March 31st, 1966. To the Bowery, April 1st through to June 30th, 1966. 26th 2nd Avenue, July 1st through November 4th. And then they're going to we'll have some memorandums and accounts, an epilogue, and excerpts, collection of the times and events described in his 1966 journal. Next page, please. The Upper West Side, January 19th through March 31st, 1966. Now we read a summary. Now we'll go to the highlights. I wanted to note here, Prabhupada's divided his weekly calendars into 3 sections: books, classes and kirtans, and letters and contacts. So that's how he divided the use of his time. So on the 19th, it's mentioned two sets of books taken from the Paragon Book Gallery, taken back from the Paragon Book Gallery. The 20th of January, 1966, a letter to Chandrasekhar asked him to send one Bhagavatam, set Bhagavatam, to Sri Padampat Singhania. On the 24th, a letter to Mr. Felix Morrow with Srimad Bhagavatam literature. 25th, letter from Mrs. Sally Argawal, intimating that she is taking my book to her new residence. One set of books taken by Mrs. Malopsky. She promises to pay on Thursday, 27th of January 66. 26, one set of books sold at the Universal Church of the Divine Paternity, Central Park West at 76th Street, New York. 29th, Mr. Cohen has taken away one set of books on approval. 2 sets of books received back from Paragon Book Gallery. So he's giving books on credit. Interesting to note. Classes and kirtans. So 25th, decided to purchase one tape recorder, lectures delivered in the studio on the test of spiritual realization. It means no more any artificial demand for the body and mind. So he's summarizing his lecture. Meeting at the Universal Church on the 26th at 4th West 76th Street, 7 p.m. Went to see the tape recorder, found it no good. 29th, the Gita meeting at studio at 4 p.m. Cohen came at 4 p.m. with friends and heard me 1.5 hours up till 5:30 p.m. Sri Sri Advaita Prabhu's appearance day. Okay. And the last section, letters and content. Thank you. 19th, by the grace of Sri Guru and Gauranga, an encouraging letter is received today from Sri Padmabat Singhayani to see Publication Sale Office, U.S. Government, Office of Education. Saw Mr. Malhotra of New India House. 20 of January, letter to Ban Maharaj, who I had the honor to meet on multiple occasions. Re-sanction of exchange, he is requested to see Dr. Radhakrishna. Letters from Padampat Singh Hayani and Chandrasekhar replied. 21st, letter received from C.C. Doctor of Bombay. Mr. Bogart asked me to see him on Monday morning in his office, 866 United Nations Plaza. 22nd. Letter to Surya Kumar Joshi of AICC office, re-sanction, and to Beni Bhushan Dutta. 24th, met with Larry Bogart at 9 a.m. He advised me to write to Mr. Felix Morrell for an appointment. Letter to Felix Morrell with Srimad Bhagavatam literature. 25th. Letter from Mrs. Sally Argawal. It appears she has not received my letter on 18/166. Okay. Letters to, on the 26th, letters to S. Argawal, Miss H. Satle, Bureau of Libraries, and Dr. S. Fursh, Asia Society. 27th, met Mr. Cohen. 28th, saw Mr. Cohen at his place downtown. 29th, Mr. Hill informed me that Sachin Muzumdar can be reached by phone. And 31st, met two foundations, the Carnegie Foundation of New York and Russell Sage Foundation will contact him by phone. So these are the letters and contacts. You could see even in his early days where he had no facility practically to preach, he was certainly ambitious to get out there and make it happen. And all these events and activities that he's organizing should be an inspiration for all of us moving forward. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's carry on with our program with the Jayarada Madhava prayers, and then the class on Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the reading and discussion from the original unedited books with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu from Twain Harte, California. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Amuspa Paramahansa Parivrajagacārya Sattare Sarasmāda Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupāda ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Nāvācārya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Mo Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giridhar ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए और ग्लोरी टू देयर समिट और ग्लोरी टू देयर समिट थैंक यू वेरी मच
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion upon Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we do every week, we will be reading a few verses from the Adi Lila of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, where it explains the meaning and benefit of hearing and reciting this great, powerful, transcendental literature. We will be reading from Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 18 through 22. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gaudiya ke Karya Chenoyatmasat 18 Charana Vandan Tire Morinat. These 3 deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text 20. Grante rarambi karimangala charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera Smaranayai Vigna Vinashana Anayasyai Nijavanchita Purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text 22. Simangala charanoi trivida prakar vastu nirdesha shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. As we did last week, I'm going to read a few citations from a compilation regarding the power and the meaning of the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, if I can locate it here. Okay. This is from a lecture on Bhagavad Gita in Melbourne, Australia, on June 25th, 1974. Melbourne, Australia, on June 25th, 1974. So if we read the Vedic literature, and you get full knowledge, and the essence of Vedic literature is Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam. ABCD. This Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD of knowledge. This is entrance examination, matriculation examination, school leaving examination. And Srimad Bhagavatam is graduate. When you become graduate in spiritual knowledge, then you can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you have passed your bachelor degree, then you are postgraduate. That study is Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. So we've got three different status of reading capacity. We have got already 20 books, so don't waste your time. Try to understand what is Krishna and what is spiritual life by reading these books. Everything is explained there. Then we have another interesting statement by Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, India, on October 19th, 1974, a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam 1-839, October 19th, 1974. So Vaishnava, just like Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Karacha, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Jagai madai oite muise papishta, purisher kita oite muise lagishta. From Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi letter 5-205. Caitanya-carita author, such an exalted person, practically the most exalted personality in Gaudiya Vaishnava. His Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there is no comparison. It is postgraduate study. So the author of the book is presenting himself that my position is lower than the worm in the stool. Purisher kitoete muise lagishta. And Jagai madai oite muise papishta. Jagai Madai was the example of papi, sinful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam Das Thakur sings, Papi tapi jata chilo, Ariname uddarilo. Brajendra-nandana je Sachi Sutta Oilase. Two brothers who were formerly the son of Brajendra-nandana, the Maharaj Nanda, his son Krishna and Balarama. So Balarama has become Nitai, and Krishna has become Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But why they have become Nitai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Now, Papi Tapi Jatachilo, just to deliver all the sinful person. So did they do actually so? Yes. Then where is the evidence? Tar Sakshi Jagai and Madai. Here is evidence. They delivered Jagai and Madai. So Jagai and Madai in those days were taken as very, very sinful, although they were born of Brahmana family. But by bad association, they became thieves, rogues, gunda, and drunkards, meat eaters, women hunters. These are all good qualification now, very good qualification. If one is women hunter and drunkard and meat eater, oh, his social position is very nice, up to date, up to date. This is modern civilization, but formerly, especially a gentleman. Gentleman means born of high caste, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. If they would be women hunter, drunkards, meat eaters, immediately they'll be rejected from the position. Immediately, that was Hindu society. No gentleman could. Still now in some provinces, the high caste men, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, they'll never touch these things. This is sinful. So Jagai Madai, they were zamindars, very rich men in Brahmana, but because they were addicted to these habits, they were taken as the most sinful. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu delivered them. Papi tapi jatachilo, Aryaname uddarilo. So we will begin our reading of selected text of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Today we will be reading from Adi Lila, chapter 4, text number 136. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Vishaya Jatiya Shuka Amara Svada Eka Itachinti Rahe Krishna Paramakotuki Ridaye Badaye Premaloba Daki Itachinti. Thinking this, Rahe remains. Krishna, Lord Krishna, Paramakotuki, the supremely curious. Ridaye, in the heart. Badaye, increases. Premalobha, eager desire for love. Daki, blazing. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna was curious to taste that love. His eager desire for that love increasingly blazed in his heart. Text 137. Eka shuna arlobera prakar, swamadhurya deki Krishna karena vichar. This, eka, one, shuna, please hear, ara, another, lobhera, of eager desire, prakara, type, swamadhurya, own sweetness, deki, seeing, Krishna, Lord Krishna, karena, does, vichara, consideration. Translation, that is one desire. Now please hear of another. Seeing his own beauty, Lord Krishna began to consider. Text 138. Adbhuta ananta purna mura madhurima trijagate yaharakya nahi payasima. Adbhuta, wonderful. Ananta, unlimited. Purna, full. Mora, my. Madhurima, sweetness. Tri Jagate, in the three worlds, Ihara, of this, Keha, someone, Nahi, not, Paya, obtains, Sima, limit. Translation: my sweetness is wonderful, infinite and full. No one in the three worlds can find its limits. Text 139. E premadvare nitya radhika ekali, amar madhuryamrita asvade sakali. E this, premadvare, by means of the love, nitya, always, radhika, Srimati Radharani, Ekali, only, Amara, of me, Madhurya Amrita, the nectar of the sweetness, Asvade, taste, Sakali, all. Translation: only Radhika, by the strength of her love, tastes all the nectar of my sweetness. Text 140. Yadyapi nirmala radhara sat prema darpana, tatapi svachatta tarabhade kshane kshana. Yadyapi, although, nirmala, pure, radhara, of Srimati Radharani, sat prema, of real love, darpana, the mirror, tatapi, still, svachatta, transparency, Tara, of that, Badhe, increases, Kshane Kshana, every moment. Although Radha's love is pure like a mirror, its purity increases at every moment. Text 141. Amar madhurya nahi bhadite avakashe, e darpane rage nava nava rupe bhashe. Amara, of me, madhurya, sweetness, nahi, not, bhadite, to increase, avakashe, opportunity, edarpanera age, in front of this mirror, nava nava, newer and newer, rupe, in beauty, bhashe, shines. Translation: my sweetness also has no room for expansion, yet it shines before that mirror in newer and newer beauty. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge from the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya, Bhaktivedanta Namine, Prasannaya Prashantaya, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto my Guru Maharaja, who is a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is always calm and joyful, and who bears the name Bhaktivedanta, from the Srila Prabhupada Stotram by Anantaram Shastri. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam kshiram sharkara yuktam kadatihi visheshataha. Worship of the Supreme Lord is naturally very sweet, just like milk is originally sweet. Just as milk becomes sweeter by adding a little sugar, in the same way, worship of the Supreme Lord becomes sweeter by first worshiping the bona fide Guru. From the Stotra Ratna Bhashya by Sri Vedanta Desika. Adadana strinam danter idam yachi punaha punaha Srimadurhupa padam bhoja dhulishyam janma janmani. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth, from the Sri Mukta-charita by Raghunath Das Goswami. Amsho bhagavato smyaham sadadasu asmi sarvata tat kripa pikshako nityam tat preshtashat karomi svam. I'm a tiny part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and I'm always and in every way his eternal servant. As I'm always hoping for his mercy and kindness, I offer myself to his most dear servitor, my spiritual master. From the Archana Padati Guru Vandana. Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Somebody recently asked me, why do you read all of these prayers and mantras, slokas, before beginning to speak? There is an interesting lecture by Srila Prabhupada where he was explaining these few words from Bhagavad Gita, Acharyo Pasanam Socham, that one should worship the Acharya. As we see in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, at the end of every chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj pays his respectful obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. And we see that Prabhupada in one lecture was explaining that one should worship the Acharya. One should pay respectful obeisances to the Acharya and the previous Acharyas. So that is the main reason. We know that Srila Prabhupada did not invent or manufacture this philosophy. What Prabhupada did was present what he had received from his Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada. Several times Prabhupada was asked about his Guru Maharaj. One time in Calcutta, one devotee praised Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, you're just like pure gold. Prabhupada said, oh no, I'm like iron. My Guru Maharaj, he was pure gold. He was a walking encyclopedia. Of course, it is the common Vaishnava practice to give any honor or respectful obeisance to one's spiritual master, but Prabhupada was especially careful to always emphasize what he had received from his Guru Maharaj. At one point, various devotees requested Prabhupada, oh, we want to try to read the books of previous acharyas. So Prabhupada said, yes, that is all right, but first you have to read the books that you have received. Now, this is a very important point. Unless one first studies the books, the teachings, the instructions, the lectures, the conversations that Prabhupada has given, one should not jump like a monkey to other literatures without first reading, studying, and assimilating what Srila Prabhupada has given. We had personal experience how in 1971 and 1972, Guru Kripa Swami and myself used to go meet with the son of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Lalit Prasad Thakur. He was the brother of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada had given permission for devotees to come and see him. So by late 1973, we were in America trying to collect for the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada sent us a letter requesting us not to go there anymore because there had been some comments about his Guru Maharaj. So Prabhupada in that one letter is, whatever is to be learned of the teachings of Bhaktivedanta Thakur can be learned from our books. There is no need whatsoever for outside instruction. Now, we have seen over the years how many persons do not seem to be satisfied with just studying and hearing the transcendental literatures that Prabhupada has given. Many devotees have difficulty accepting the transcendental authority of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. As a matter of fact, many times we see that some devotees who may be very scholarly, very academically proficient, will criticize Prabhupada for making comments about race, about women, about marriage, about creation, so many different comments Prabhupada has made over the years. But in order to understand what these comments are and what they really mean, first one should understand who is Prabhupada. Who is that personality? We know from Caitanya-caritāmṛta and Chaitanya Bhagavata that there had been predictions. In the Chaitanya Mangala of Lochandas Thakur, there was also prediction that a great powerful Acharya called a Senapati Bhakta, a chief commander. In the Indian system of military warfare, the term Senapati means that the chief general, the entire army. So this Lochandas Thakur had predicted that a great powerful Senapati Bhakta will go and bring that transcendental message of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself had described Prite Bite Achanadi Nagarati Gram Sarvatra Eve Prachar Morenam, that one day my name will be known in all the cities, towns, villages, everywhere in the world. We know that in one incident in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya, saw Lord Chaitanya's dancing, and he predicted that one day, all over the world, this would be well known. We know that Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur, the father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wrote in his journal that when will that day come that Westerners from Britain and Canada, United States, Germany, Russia will assemble at the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Mayapur and chant Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. So that personality who made this happen, who factually made this happen, is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. So one should treat with utmost respect the literatures of Srila Prabhupada. Because when we carefully study and understand what is the position of a Nitya Siddha, of an eternally liberated soul who comes to this world from the kingdom of God, from Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, to accomplish the mission of Krishna, this is a very special position. A liberated soul who is not influenced by the qualities of material nature, who has no more of the motive, passion, and ignorance, who is completely liberated from the four defects of material existence, that is very rare. I was going to read a text here from Caitanya-caritāmṛta that was quoted by Narasimha Prabhu in a letter in February of 2023, It doesn't give the reference here. I'll just read the verse here. Brahm pramada vipralipsa karana patava arsha vignavakye nahi dosha esava. Mistakes, illusions, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the saying of the authoritative sages. So these 4 defects described here by Krishna Das Kaviraj, these are the defects of conditioned souls. People who are influenced by the 3 modes of material nature. A pure devotee or liberated soul is beyond such defects because he is completely absorbed at the lotus feet of Krishna and to fulfill the mission of Lord Krishna. Now this is very special. Some of us had the good fortune to experience Srila Prabhupada's transcendental ecstasies, his preaching. We saw him in various countries like Australia, America, Canada, India. Prabhupada would come, he would preach, talk to the devotees. He would talk to all kinds of people. He would not shy away from anybody, whether they were very famous personalities, celebrities, whether it was the Beatles or some professors, some very learned persons, some politicians. There was a famous recording and conversation in Australia with a social worker who was presenting to Srila Prabhupada his idea, his philosophy. And Prabhupada kept making so many points that Krishna consciousness is above social service because it solves all the problems. Some of you may be familiar with the kind of conversation with that French Cardinal Danielu, where Prabhupada is explaining why we do not kill animals, because the animals have a soul. Unfortunately, the gentleman, the cardinal, could not seem to grasp or understand what Prabhupada was saying. Why we do not kill the animals, why we do not kill the cow. But Prabhupada presented things in a very masterful, intelligent, and tactful way. There are so many different conversations. There was an interesting conversation in India in 1976 in a place called Nellore. The city of Nellore is north of Chennai, north of Madras, and there's a very famous temple there, very old. It's over 1,000-year or 1,200-year temple there, Vishnu temple. So the devotees took a train from Chennai to Nellore with Srila Prabhupada. So some Indian devotees, some Indian gentlemen came on the train and they wanted to meet Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's servants did not want him to be troubled. They wanted to have some peaceful time. So they did not allow these potential visitors to come in. So the persons kept coming back and looking at Prabhupada and everything. Prabhupada finally told them to come in. So they asked Srila Prabhupada, can you please give us your mercy? Give us your Ashirvad. Ashirvad means blessings in Sanskrit. And Prabhupada said, yes, I can give you Ashirvad. Was it that you want? Oh, I have a bad knee. Can you bless me so I can cure my knee? And Prabhupada pointed to his disciples. Prabhupada, I can give you that blessing just like them. They have given everything for Krishna. Are you willing to take that blessing? And they say, oh no, we have our family, we have our wife, our children, we cannot do that. Prabhupada says, okay, he just basically very politely dismissed them and sent them off. But the point is that the association of a pure devotee is very rare. It's very rare. There was a devotee in Los Angeles in 1970, Mohanananda. He was driving the devotees to go to the Los Angeles International Airport to see Srila Prabhupada depart for India. This was in August of 1970. And he was relating a story how him and Keshava, Karandar's brother, had been in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada was explaining to them that the association of a pure devotee is very, very rare. And Prabhupada gave the example, just like if a man falls upon the ocean. If you fall upon the ocean, it is a very treacherous, difficult position. So some way or other, if a piece of wood comes, floats, and you're able to grab it, you will be saved. You will be prevented from drowning. Prabhupada, the association of a pure devotee is rare like that. So anybody who has the association of pure devotee should very carefully take advantage. Now, we've seen in our discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam, the meeting of the Sutta Goswami and the rishis, the great sages at Naimisharanya, how they all, at 60,000 sages, had assembled there to hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in one purport, Srila Prabhupada describes how one should not approach a sadhu for seeing, but for hearing. This is a very important point. Many persons do not understand why we approach a sadhu or spiritual master or spiritual authority. It is not just for show. It is not just a fashion. It is done for hearing the message. This is a very important point. Prabhupada has repeated that point so many times in his teachings. So many times. And this is the importance of hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. This literature of Chaitanya, as we see here from this very confidential esoteric description by Krishna Das Kaviraj about Krishna's loving feelings for Radharani, this is beyond mundane comprehension. There are some people, especially in India, they're very fond of this Rasa Lila. They want to jump to the most confidential section of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto of Krishna dancing with the gopis. But they do not take the time to carefully study everything from the first canto, the second canto, like that. There is a recommended process to understand the confidential pastimes of Lord Krishna. It is systematic, it is methodical, and there's a good result. Prabhupada in one purport says, if one studies all the cantos of the Bhagavatam, one will become self-realized. Then one can understand issues like the Rasa Lila and all these confidential pastimes. And when you think of it, some of these descriptions of the Bhagavatam can be very well bewildering to mental speculators, yogis, so-called scholars. I mean, Krishna feeding butter to the monkeys, Krishna being chased by his mother with a stick, Krishna being tied up by his mother to a wooden mortar. Some people will not understand the confidential meaning of these activities. Just like we sometimes see some mundane religionists criticize the followers of Sanatana Dharma, or you are worshiping idols. No, we're not worshiping idols. As a matter of fact, if you go to any public square in most cities around the world, they are worshiping idols of a famous politician and a crow with pastule on the head. That is idol worship. What we are doing is archa. Archa means the divine form of the Lord, which has come in the form of so-called metal, and he is consecrated by the prayers of the great Acharya. That's why we don't do idol worship. Before any deity is worshipped in a temple, there's what's called pran pratishta. It is established according to religious scriptural tenets by great acharyas. This is a vast topic, but this is basically to clear up the misunderstanding of some persons with poor fund of knowledge. Anyway, I'll leave the floor here to better devotees to discuss issues, and we can move forward. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā, for your excellent explanation of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, especially the pastimes that you recall with Srila Prabhupada. And we'll be calling upon Janaspriya and Dharma Bhavana and Preet, Balram and others as we move forward with the program. I just wanted to mention that one can understand. I was listening to a lecture from Srila Prabhupada, and it really touched me, his simple explanation of the philosophy, because the question of understanding Krishna, one can understand the pastimes of Krishna, especially the relationship between Radha and Krishna, by revelation only. This is not an intellectual process. How does revelation take place? Probably explained through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Then Krishna will reveal himself, he said, to you through the chanting. So we, all of us here at this group, we try to make a commitment to chant 27,000 names of Krishna daily. That adds up to 10,500,000 names a year, minimal. If you chant more, then it'll be 12, 15 million. Some people would say to me, well, that's a lot. Well, it's not really, but anyway, this is a minimum that we do. And then Krishna will reveal himself gradually to the sincere chanter. But Prabhupada mentioned, it is done by sincere, offenseless devotional service and the chanting of the holy name without offenses. So I thought for a minute, because back in the day, we used to read the offenses every morning, if you recall, Yaśodā, before the japa period. We'd have Mangalarti, then Tulsi Puja, and then japa class. We would read the 10 offenses. So we'll go to that in the nectar of devotion. Yes, just up to the top, please. Slide up a bit more. Thank you. I'm just going to read the top. Yeah. In the Padma Purana, even when a person becomes an offender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he still can be delivered simply by taking shelter. Are we there? Yeah. Of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In other words, the chanting of Hare Krishna is beneficial for eradicating all sins, but if one becomes an offender to the holy names of the Lord, then he has no chance of being delivered. The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. To blaspheme, one, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Two, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes the atheistic class of men take it that a demigod is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. But one who is a devotee knows that no demigod, however great he may be, is independently as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali, or Durga, Durga, it is the same as Hare Krishna. That is the greatest offense. 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imaginations. 6, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. It should not be taken that because by chanting the holy name of the Lord can be freed from all sinful reaction, one may commit to act sinfully and after that chant Hare Krishna to neutralize his sins. Such a dangerous mentality is very offensive and should be avoided. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious religious auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruit of activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct the faithless person. About the glories of the holy name, anyone can take part in chanting the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it is better not to instruct them in this matter. And 10, finally, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. So, Dharma Bhavana, maybe you could share some of your insights on today's discussion and reading.
See, unmute. Okay, Hare Krishna. There it is. Unmute. Oh yeah, Hare Krishna, beautiful class. I was just thinking how it's possible for somebody to be officially engaged with devotees who are in devotional service for a long time, but not really realize how important our connection to the Acharya is, how rare it is to meet a bona fide spiritual master. And before, the analogy was given, you're in the ocean, and how rare it is to find some piece of wood to help you float. And so I was just thinking to repeat that we maybe meet so many spiritual people, but to meet somebody who's totally free from the modes of material nature, coming from the spiritual world, that is such a amazingly important thing. And practically spiritual life begins at the point where we realize we don't know anything, but if we want to actually learn from Srila Prabhupada's teachings and lectures and classes, and also from the devotees, then our spiritual life can really begin. Just a little short comment. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another devotee from your area, Preet. Is it Preet Devi Dasi? Dharma Bhavana? Yes. Mataji, maybe you could share some of your insights today on the discussion and the reading of the verses.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Thank you for this class. I'm very grateful to Dharma Bhavana Prabhu for sharing this, the information about this class. Thank you to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu for the beautiful lecture, and to you, Vishwakarma Dasji and Prabhuji, and of course Venkatapat Dasji and all the volunteers. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this association. Today's class was beautiful. Well, it's been with Srila Prabhupada, so I feel blessed to be in this class and to learn about more and more about Prabhupada and all the acharyas, and how learning about Krishna, that we should do it methodically, systematically, so we understand through realizations, and by reading the books that Prabhupada has given us instead of jumping from book to book. So that's all very interesting. So that's my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jonas Priya in Hawaii, maybe you could share some insights. Thank you. Jonas Priya in Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Aloha. Yes,
Aloha.
very, very nice class as always. But Prabhupada was asked this, as Yasoda mentioned, that devotees were asking, is it okay to read previous acharyas? And yes, Prabhupada said, yes, you could read that. He says, but first you must, if you have read all of my books, then you may. So that's the qualification. So if you have read every single book of Prabhupada, and actually if you read every single book of Prabhupada, you wouldn't want to go anywhere else. So I read Bhagavad Gita, my first Bhagavad Gita was a Penguin's Classic, just a cheap little book. And I read this Bhagavad Gita, and the only conclusion that I came to is that I'm not the body. So I could do whatever I want with my body because that's not me. This is the only conclusion I came out with. So as soon as I read Prabhupada's books, especially Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is so to the point. If anybody, actually in all of his books, you read one paragraph, Prabhupada will go through the same points. You're not the body. You have to surrender to Krishna. And he keeps on pounding this. Why? Because we're so fallen, so our brain is not functioning. Prabhupada says they got cracked brain. So we have cracked brains. So Prabhupada's books are the only medicine. And when we read Prabhupada's books, and we don't need to speculate, we simply open our heart to his books because that's Srila Prabhupada speaking directly to us. And if we follow this process, very soon we start feeling blessings on our life. Another real nice point that was made about Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu about idol worship. And Prabhupada gave the example of the mailbox. Where you put your letters, Prabhupada said, if you construct yourself a box and it looks identical to the ones that the government provide, and you put your letter in there, he says that letter is not going to go anywhere. Why? Because it's not authorized. So the forms that we worship, they're not concoctions of somebody had a dream or had a vision. No, these are forms that are authorized and bona fide, and they've been worshiping their line for thousands of years. So Prabhupada didn't speculate, and that's what I like about this group. I tried joining other groups, and there's always the false ego of the people leading the groups. They either want fame or power or money. So it's so refreshing to be with a group of devotees that they're not looking after money, they're not looking after fame. We only want to glorify our Guru and follow this process because we know it works. Hare Krishna.
We're going to have Balaram speak. I just wanted to make a quick comment. That's well thought out, Prabhu, because our goal is namhata in many regards, that we're interested in promoting people's preaching work in their areas of the world, and they cultivating new people in their area of the world, and they introducing their programs for prasadam distribution and book distribution and programs in their part of the world according to the Bhaktivinoda's plan for the Namhata program to spread to every town and village in the world. So, Balaram, it's interesting to note, this is not institutional. We're not trying to form an institution. We are forming a society of truthfulness, a proper understanding of this philosophy according to Prabhupada's teachings, according to his books, according to his tapes, and according to the association of his disciples who understand the transcendental position of Srila Prabhupada as our spiritual master. Balaram Prabhu, please, in Australia.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, obeisances to the assembled Vaishnavas. Very nice lecture and discussion, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. I was also interested, you were quoting a lecture by Srila Prabhupada back in Australia in 1974. I was in Melbourne. Srila Prabhupada actually came and marched in front of the Lord Jagannath chariots in the Rath Yatra festival that year. very wonderful year. There's probably pictures that have been seen, Prabhupada dancing in ecstasy in front of the Jagannath chariot. Srila Prabhupada was here for about a week. I was an unfortunate soul, you might say, that I was in New Zealand that whole time for Srila Prabhupada's visit. I had the mercy of seeing Srila Prabhupada in the 1974, the big Mayapur Vrindavan festival. And the rest of the devotees, I was doing service in New Zealand at the time, but the New Zealand devotees didn't make the festival. So Madhavisa said, Balaram, you're staying back to look after the deities in New Zealand for 7 days by yourself, and all of the rest of the devotees can come. So they had the mercy of seeing Srila Prabhupada there. But the quote that you were reading from Srila Prabhupada's class, very important, because Prabhupada was explaining there the graduation of the scientific understanding of Krishna consciousness, beginning with Bhagavad Gita. I think I can't remember the exact words it was, but there was the study, the elevated study, and then the postgraduate study. And we're seeing Prabhupada's books like that, and that's how they're presented. Bhagavad Gita is simply to get us off the material platform of our existence. Everyone, especially in Kali Yuga, completely bound up by the modes of material nature. It's just like being born in Kali Yuga. It's like you're just born into a prison house, and there's no way of escaping. That's the nature of Kali Yuga. Sutta Goswami explains to the sages of Naimisaranya, you're quoting them before, Dehapatra Kalatradeshu Atmasainyas Asatsvapi. It says that persons devoid of Atma Tattva, knowledge of the self, they do not inquire into the problems of life, being too much attached to the fallible soldiers. The fallible soldiers, like the body, the children, the wife, and Adishu, and the rest, or what happens after that family has been, excuse me, after the family, you're involved in the family, then so many additions, the house, the work, the job, and they do not see the problems of life because still so much. So Bhagavad Gita is there actually giving us the knowledge that we are not this body. And then because we can't understand Krishna's pastimes, we're reading these most elevated pastimes in Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the ever-expanding Nava-Nava-rasa, the ever-expanding love between Krishna and Radha. There's this transcendental composition is just increasing. We're seeing that. We can't understand that if we're on the bodily platform. So Bhagavad Gita brings Arjuna to that platform of understanding the transcendental nature as opposed to the material nature. Then we can progress to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the next study. And then, of course, the postgraduate study that we're reading with great relish now, and without Prabhupada's purports, there'd be no question of us understanding this. So this is we can say these books, but without the Bhaktivedanta purports, we absolutely know nothing. So this is our mission, to preserve Srila Prabhupada's legacy. The materialists, they say, oh, such and such, this sportsman's legacy or this. No, the real legacy is Srila Prabhupada's instructions, which are there in his original books. So that is our mission, and we have to strive for that with great enthusiasm, confidence, and perseverance, or patience. That's Rupa Goswami. We say, well, Prabhupada's Rupa is the true Rupanuga. We're following in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps. We're Prabhupada Anugas, following in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps. And Rupa Goswami explains, Nischayad Utsahan Nischayad Deryat. To practice Krishna consciousness with enthusiasm, with determination and confidence and patience. Right? So all of the things that we've been discussing, very nice, especially the chanting. It doesn't happen immediately. I mean, many of us here have been chanting for 50 or 60 years, as Vishwakarma was explaining. So we're still sometimes feeling on the neophyte platform, trying to understand. So the more we apply ourselves to this process, gradually we will come and keep in the association of devotees, most important. So thank you very much for the association. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I see we have our friend, man on a mission, on the road, Nilesh Dalal. Maybe he has a question for you. Nilesh, please, if you could.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Bol.
Prabhuji. Hare Bol. Prabhuji, I have a few points. Today I was fortunate enough to listen to the entire class. Number one is Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu was talking about Archa Vigrahas. These are not idols, these are deities. The deities are actually Archa Vigrahas, where Krishna has most munificently appeared in that form to accept our archana, to accept our offerings, because we are so fallen that we cannot see him in the transcendental level. So, talking about Archa Vigrahas, right now in India, there's a whole big fervor going on about Prana Pratishta, about baby Lord Rama in Ayodhya. And uncannily, I remember that when the temple in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram temple, the Pran Pratishta was trying to be done, Prabhupada was, he was forced by the so-called Samartha Brahmins for them to conduct the Pran Pratishta. And he, if I've read it correctly, he had requested his disciples to stay in one corner in a room close by and say, just chant Hare Krishna, because this is the real Pran Pratishta. Let them do their business in the temple, and then we will take over from there. So I would like to know your viewpoints on Pran Pratishta, which is the Vedic way of inviting the Lord to reside in the deity form so that he would accept our archana. That's number one. Number two, which I was thinking about also, is Prabhuji was kind enough to see the 10 offenses. And if you see at the bottom of all the 10 offenses, it was written over there. I don't know if Venkata Prabhu can bring it up again. The bottom 2 lines after the 10 offenses were read. If you see, every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Number one, who claims to be a Vaishnava? If I intentionally and knowingly conduct that offense, which is offense number 3, not listening to my spiritual master's orders, would I still call myself a Vaishnava? I am claiming myself to be a Vaishnava, but if I'm intentionally violating each and every order of Srila Prabhupada, especially do not change my books, especially I have not ordered you to become Guru, and I become Guru, and I take the services of the innocent jivas, do I still call myself a Vaishnava? So this was the second part which I was thinking about. And then the third part, which was again ruminating in my mind, is that about the pure devotees. If there existed pure devotees when Srila Prabhupada was on the planet, as some of the Mayamians, especially the Jadurani Mataji's group, claims it to be, and they were not there to help Srila Prabhupada, why did they not help Srila Prabhupada? Going back to Caitanya-caritāmṛta's Madhya Lila, I forget the shloka, let me bring it up. Yeah, 19:159, where they talk about these creepers. If I am not after animal killing, mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, mundane importance, then why would I not help Srila Prabhupada. Why would I, if I'm a pure devotee, I do not have any of these attachments. So that is why, since nobody helped Prabhupada, because everybody was trying to profit in some way or the other from the transaction, and they said, I'm not going to be able to profit, then am I a real pure devotee? Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, what do you have to say?
Okay, hold on.
I-
What was the first one? What was the first one? Nilesh,
The
what was
The
the
first
first
one was about the Archa Vigraha, and right now there's a huge fervor going on in India about the Ayodhya Janmabhoomi and the
Okay.
Pran Pratishtha going on over there.
Okay, go ahead, Yaśodā, please.
And
Okay, to
what
me-
happened in Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan.
Okay.
As far as the Pran Pratishtha of the Krishna Balaram temple, I think you've correctly stated it. There was a very strong push and pressure on Srila Prabhupada for some of the local brahmanas, whatever they were, to perform the rites and exact some money from Prabhupada. There is a purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Prabhupada refers to this, and he says that we are concerned that simply by chanting the Maha Mantra, in other words, I'm paraphrasing, Prabhupada was not in support of some of these elaborate, big, huge ceremonies, but because the chanting of Hare Krishna is sufficient. Achyutananda Swami once related to me a story of how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati at one time opened a temple by just putting a tulsi leaf at the feet of Lord Krishna in a kirtan. There are some occasions, for example, in 1976 in Hyderabad, for the opening of the Radha Madan Mohan temple, some of the local life members who were very friendly to Srila Prabhupada, some of whom had donated the land and were very supportive, they warned Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, if you don't have local Brahmins do the opening ceremonies, the local people will boycott this temple. They will speak against it. The Prabhupada said, no problem, we can arrange. And I was given the instruction to bring 12 South Indian Vaishnavas, Ramanuja Pandits, to do the ceremonies. They received Prabhupada at the airport. They gave him a wonderful Guru Puja. They did a 3-day ceremony, all according to Vedic ceremonies, chanting Vedic mantras and everything. And Prabhupada was very pleased with their work. Prabhupada was very happy. At the same time, Prabhupada also told, like yours truly here, to learn how to do this. And we did also a 3-day ceremony from which Balaram Prabhu also came all the way from Australia to Fiji in August of 1977 for the installation of the Krishna Kalya temple. So Prabhupada did not shy away from Vedic ceremonies, because the understanding is that we are not worshiping what's called a pratima. Pratima is the Sanskrit word like for an idol. We are worshiping an archa deity. The Ramanuja Sampradaya, they have a point that one of the incarnations of the Lord is called the Archa Avatar, that Krishna incarnates in that deity. And it is consecrated according to prayers, hymns, Vedic mantras, the prayers of the Acharya, like that. So that is the one understanding. As far as your second point, we'll deal with one point at a time here, regarding the third offense against the spiritual master. I've mentioned several times that I'm somewhat very hesitant in a public forum like this to basically launch statements or accusatory statements against any individual groups or particular people. But we do know that Prabhupada has emphasized that in his books about not disobeying the order of the spiritual master, not neglecting the instruction of the spiritual master. And this is well known to every student, every disciple, everybody. So it is well taken. As far as one who claims to be a Vaishnava, well, in my case, it's not difficult to sort out. I'm just an aspiring Vaishnava. But there are some very true Vaishnavas, even in this group and other places, there are some true Vaishnavas. And if one becomes a little educated and reads Srila Prabhupada's books, it's not complicated to differentiate between factual Vaishnavas, real Vaishnavas, and Vaishnava Abbas, or basically somebody who's really not on the proper standard of Vaishnava. that's all I'm going to say at this point, and trying to turn it over to some other devotees. And we can deal with many of these discussions, because the time is getting a little short here, at another time. But thank you very much, Prabhu, for bringing up these very important points. These are very good points of discussion, which we can deal at more length in the future.
Well, you had one more question, Nilesh. What was it? The last one, the third one. Go ahead.
The last one which I was talking about was pure devotees from the Gaudiya Math, because
Okay.
Jadurani Mataji's group says, "Oh, do you think there are no pure devotees?" And just connecting dots over here, you had mentioned that where were they when Prabhupada needed help? And if they did not help Prabhupada, obviously they are in seeking out of some kind of profiting, some kind of adoration, some kind of profit from
Distinction.
certain procedures. And if they did not do that, clearly they are not pure devotees.
Well, that's a very important point, because Prabhupada discussed that many times with devotees about various members of the, what I call the neo-mats, the various groups that sprung up after the departure of His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, where one group installed one Acharya who ended up going away and joining some caste Goswamis in Vrindavan. Some other group started a lawsuit against everybody else. And Prabhupada says, well, then everybody else started to become independent Acharyas. And when Prabhupada manifested his preaching mission, many of these people would not help him. As a matter of fact, they started to criticize him and attack him. Now, I'll say, because I've been with Srila Prabhupada several times, he was very respectful and cordial to all of his God brothers. He was not insulting to any of them. But he knew exactly what had taken place in 1937. That's why he gave advice to all of his disciples: stay away from the Gaudiya Math, don't go to their temples, don't buy their books, don't associate with them. In 1975, he sent a letter to Vishwakarma. Brahmananda Swami, as Prabhupada's secretary, sent a letter to all the temples that they should not go and associate with them. And it's a very valid point. Where were these people when the ambassador of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his mission all over the world? Why didn't they come? I mean, they offered some praise, which is nice, but factual, tangible help, they did not give. But as soon as Prabhupada departed, they were very expert at telling, oh, this is not correct, that is not correct. But it's obvious that some people very quickly figured out that these people had the same disease of these original 11, the profit, adoration, distinction disease. As far as whether somebody is a pure devotee or not a pure devotee, well, we do know that in our manifested present, in Prabhupada's manifested present, he proved that he was a fully realized pure devotee. His achievements, his accomplishments prove it. His books prove it. Now, others, they may say what they like. We're not going to engage in castigating, blame, or accusations against any of these people. What we are concerned here is to promote Srila Prabhupada, his legacy, his Vani incarnation, in his books. That's our main thrust, our main platform, our main mission. Now, as far as others who want to promote other so-called pure devotees or alleged pure devotees, we should only wish them the best. But we're not going to stop our mission, because we have practically seen many of these pure devotees engage in criticism of Srila Prabhupada in public. We've seen that. So we're not going to stray away from our mission to promote Srila Prabhupada. I hope it helps.
Okay. Ron Singh, maybe you could give us a little brief explanation of how things went this weekend in Sacramento at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society Festival.
Well, the festival went on very nicely. We had several devotees from Stockton. My dad was there, another devotee who watches our programs. He also spontaneously showed up. And we had a devotee with his son. We chanted, we had a big feast. We discussed many things. It was a very exciting festival, and we're also looking to invite more people to come for the next festival, which will be Gurpurnima festival. So we're planning for that. And if anyone has any suggestions, Venkat Prabhu was very expert in managing the whole thing. We had better sound, but there were some things, technical glitches, which we had, which we're going to fix for the next program. So overall, it was an excellent program. Feasting was amazing. Yaśodā-nandana, we packed him like a 10-pound bag full of prasadam he took home. And yeah, it was ecstatic. Maybe Yaśodā-nandana can close it out.
Well, we invite everybody to participate in the next festival for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance Day. I believe it's the last Sunday in March. I have to check the exact date, but we're probably going to observe it the last Sunday in March, and we're going to invite more people, get it better organized, trying to improve every time. We're going to have a very interesting program and very, very nice. I think that I want to point out that there was some very interesting discussions amongst some of the guests that came there after the official artik and everything. We took prasadam. Very, very interesting discussions about, we were discussing how Vedic culture had been spread all over the world. As a matter of fact, in 2 days from now, on Friday, we're going to have a special event in Tokyo, Japan, with Bhaktivedanta and some of his devotees. And we're going to discuss the topic of what is the body, what is the soul, and how does one change at the time of death? How does one get the next body? We're also going to discuss the influence of Vedic deities in pre-Buddhist Japan. We're going to be discussing that. So it's going to be very interesting. And we look forward. I don't know exactly if everybody will be able to link into that. I think so. We can send it around. Venkat Prabhu and some other Prabhus can send out. The link has already been established, and it's going to be at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday, January 19th. That's in 2 days from now, 5:30 California time. I don't know what it corresponds in the different jurisdictions, but so it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you very much. Very interesting class today and discussion on our philosophy. And we want to carry on with the encouragement of everyone to expand your Namhata programs in your local areas and spread the truth of the disciplic succession and how it should be followed according to Prabhupada's instructions, and invite people to attend our programs and be a part of our mission at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, to preserve the truth without adulteration. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna, chant along. We'll look forward to seeing you on Friday and Saturday and Sunday this week at our various programs that we're holding as part of our ongoing preaching work globally. Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Thanks everybody for participating.
Hare Krishna.